Hello and a big welcome to the channel. I'm a motorsport madman and this is qualifying ahead of the 2023 United States Grand Prix. Welcome to a sprint race weekend, the 5th out of 6 sprint race weekends in this Formula 1 season. Round 19, US Grand Prix, Friday night qualifying. I will be live for the sprint shootout tomorrow afternoon and the sprint race itself tomorrow night, which is late on, I think 11 p.m. tomorrow for the sprint race. And then the Grand Prix, of course, on Sunday night. With this being in America, they're about 6 hours behind, so that's why it's all evening sessions this weekend. But welcome to the stream. Please do drop me a like if you are a Formula 1 fan. It does help out the channel as well if you get yourself subscribed. Trying to get to the 500 subs before the end of the season. That'll be about 10 per race, which is pushing it because you get about 10 every 6 months. So, but if we can get there, it'd be mega. God knows what I do after the end of November. Between November and March, it's going to be a struggle. But yeah, welcome in. We've got 5 races to go now in the F1 Championship. We've got triple header. So we've got US Grand Prix this weekend, Mexican Grand Prix next weekend, and Brazil the weekend after. So 3 in a row, then a week or 2 off, and then back to back for Vegas and Abu Dhabi. Vegas is the big one that's left this year. But 99% of people in Europe ain't watching that because it starts at 6 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning. So everyone's hyped for Vegas, but in reality, only the hardcore fans are going to watch that. Everyone's just going to be watching the highlights of Vegas because it's on a Saturday night in Vegas, Sunday morning European time. 6 a.m. start for that one. But that's in about 6 weeks anyway. This is Austin, Texas. And Anthony Davidson going through some of the mistakes that we're making in practice. So sprint race weekend, there was only 1 practice session a few hours ago. I had a look at that. Track seems bumpy. McLaren don't seem as happy as they've been the last few weeks. I don't know, man. I feel like Ferrari are going to have a strong weekend. McLaren have been really good recently. Their form in the second half of the season has obviously been brilliant, but I don't know, man. Piastri was having all sorts of nightmares in practice, so rolls into this one a bit cold. But the coldest of them all is Lance Stroll. He hasn't even got a run together. Problem with his Aston Martin in practice, so Lance Stroll jumping into this with no practice basically. But yeah, quali starts in about 8 minutes. But yeah, welcome in, Carl. You reckon Perez pole? Yeah, I'd like to see it. He needs it as well. Big 5 races for Sergio Perez. I think if Perez is beaten to P2 in the championship by Hamilton, and Ricciardo is finishing in the points in that AlphaTauri the last 5 races, you never know. You never know what can happen. You never know what can happen, especially with Red Bull seats. But yeah, 8 minutes to go. Let's see what they're saying. But yeah, evening settings. It's an unusual schedule this weekend because obviously usually it's like mid-afternoon. For all this stuff, 2-3 p.m. But when we're on the other side of the Atlantic, US Grand Prix, Canada, Brazil, Mexico, it's evening settings. So we're 10 p.m. Friday night, 11 p.m. Saturday night, and then I think the race starts 8 p.m. Sunday. It's out last night, birthday tomorrow. I'll be out tomorrow again. You go heavy, you, Anto. You're always in the bin, you, Anto. We're on a red wine night. Mercedes looks strong in practice. I hope they can. I hope they can carry that through. That's the result from the practice session a couple of hours ago. So it was Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton top three. I don't know how Kevin Magnussen got in the top five. I mean, that's a bit of a madness at the home race. If Haas can get some points, that'll be a mega job. Oh, this is too loud. Hang on, I've got these headphones on too loud. There we go. That'll be better now. Like full volume. Yeah, I want to see Hamilton compete for pole. I want to see Leclerc compete for pole. I don't know where the McLarens are going to end up, but it doesn't look like they're going to be fighting for pole today. So I reckon, Mercedes looking good, Ferrari looking. Can Ferrari nick pole? I'd love to see it. I'd love to see a Leclerc nick pole. Pink gin, is that what you're on? Right, let's do it. 5 minutes out from quali. Please do drop me a like if you're in the stream, guys, or watching on a repeat. Daniel Ricciardo's back, baby. Danny Rick back in at AlphaTauri after he's been in and out. Shake it all about Daniel Ricciardo this season. Gets put back in mid-season because he sacked Nick De Vries. Does a couple of races, then breaks his hand, misses another 5 races, and Liam Lawson gets 5 races, does really well. He gets dropped. Ricciardo back in for the last 5, so we'll see how he does, but Liam Lawson's got to be a little bit miffed. I mean, Liam Lawson's been good, And the thing is, Liam Lawson isn't even going to get a seat next year, so it's peak for Liam, mate. But it's Daniel's seat, and you never know. If Sergio Perez has a nightmare end to the season, and Daniel Ricciardo's getting in the points, you never know, man. You never know. Yes, Gav, welcome to the stream, bro. Oh, I'm on a sweaty one. Just come straight on stream from a 1 hour race on the sim rig, and that shit is physical. 1 hour Mazda MX-5 race on the sim rig. That shit is legit. Right, ready for this now. Let's go. Friday night quali. Not a fan of the sprint race weekends, but more streams, isn't it? Instead of just 2 streams, on a normal Grand Prix weekend, I do 2 streams, isn't it? Quali in the race. But on a sprint race weekend, it's 4. Because you've got 2 qualifying sessions and 2 races. So get in. So if every race weekend was a sprint race weekend, I'd have at least double the amount of streams. So I can't complain when it's a sprint race weekend. Although I'm not really a fan of it. But yeah, if you don't know how sprint race weekend works, tonight, this qualifying session that's about to begin now will set the grid for the race on Sunday, for the proper Grand Prix on Sunday. And tomorrow, Saturday, is a day all on its own. Saturday, we do sprint qualifying and a sprint race. So Saturday stands alone. Friday and Sunday are paired together, and Saturday is on its own. So Friday night quali sets the grid for the race on Sunday, and Saturday we do a sprint qualifying and a sprint race. So whatever happens in the sprint won't affect the grid for Sunday, basically. So this is what was going to set the grid for the Grand Prix. And no matter what happens tomorrow, you can bin it, crash it in turn one. You can do whatever you want. You're still going to get the grid position for the race on Sunday that you get tonight, which is a better way of doing it. It's complicated to explain, but it's the better way of doing it. So Saturday is its own beast. But yeah, Danny Rick is back in the AlphaTauri. So Danny Rick has got 5 races to prove he's good enough. No, I think Danny Ricciardo's got a seat anyway. But which seat? Because if Sergio Perez has a horror end to the season and Lewis Hamilton beats him to second in the championship, Red Bull might look at that and go, you're not the one. You're not the one. Sergio Perez has to secure P2 in the Drivers' Championship. You can't produce the most dominant Formula One car of all time and finish P3 in the championship. To a car that's been nowhere. To a Mercedes that's been mediocre. You cannot be beaten by a mediocre Mercedes when you're in the most dominant Formula One car that's ever been produced. And if that happens, Red Bull have to look at that situation and go, Verstappen's wiped every single race up, mopped them all up by 30 seconds. Every race, dominated. Red Bull have built a phenomenal car and put a phenomenal driver in it. But if you're not backing him up by finishing second in the championship in that car, you're not the one. And I know there's a whole system about number 1 and number 2 driver. Nah. You can't. The gap can't be that big. You can have a number 1 and number 2 driver, but the gap can't be as big as it is. You know, Verstappen's probably got more than double the points, or probably getting on for double the points that Perez has got. It gets to a point where it's embarrassing. But yeah, Q1 is underway, 18-minute session. If you don't know how qualifying works, it's split into 3 segments. So we've got Q1, which is 18 minutes, at the end of which the slowest 5 drivers will be knocked out and their grid position will be set. Then we have Q2, that's a 15-minute session, and the bottom 5 are knocked out at the end of that. And then the top 10 go through to Q3, pole position shootout. That's a 12-minute session, and that will be the fight for pole. But that's in about 40 minutes time. This is Q1. This is just about not being in that bottom 5 and about getting through to Q2. We're on board with Logan Sargent, who also needs a good end to the season. If there's 2 drivers that need a stellar 5 races, it's Sergio Perez and it's Logan Sargent. Williams with their a couple of teams with, well, I think it's at least 3 teams with special edition US style liveries. Williams with the US flag, Haas with a special edition livery, and Red Bull as well. 3 teams running the Stars and Stripes livery this weekend, which is yeah, Gav. He has, Gav, yeah. It's all done and dusted, and Red Bull have won the team's championship as well. So the championships are done, but we've still got 5 races to go. Still got 5 races to enjoy. So Sargent's going to be first man to do a flying lap. Yeah, Logan Sargent could do with. I mean, this is his home race as well. The thing is, Logan Sargent should be under pressure for his seat next season, but he's sort of not, and that's wrong. Like, why is Logan Sargent not under pressure for his seat? Why is Lance Stroll not under pressure for his seat? Well, you could argue Lance Stroll's dad owns the team and therefore he ain't going to sack his son, but Stroll should be under pressure, man. I don't care about any politics. Oh, and Sargent straight into the box then, so Sargent won't finish at first flying lap. I gotta say, I do like that Red Bull special edition US livery, US flag livery. I've gotta say, that does look good, man. I mean, there's a lot of dead special edition liveries, but this one's a beauty. Who would you give the Williams to, Sue? They got rid of him. Well, this is it. That's the problem. There's no answer to that. And therein lies the problem. There's no one sat in the wings ready to take that seat. There's no one putting pressure on Logan Sargent. The only scenario they were saying before on Sky Sports, the only scenario is Sergio Perez is either sacked or leaves Red Bull. Daniel Ricciardo gets the Red Bull seat with Verstappen, and Perez gets on the phone to Williams. But that's about as likely as me winning the Grand National next year. You know what I mean? It ain't happening. So Sargent's going to keep that seat. Sort of no matter what, which is crazy. Same with Lance Stroll. Like, Lance Stroll keeps the seat no matter what. Crazy. But yeah, Perez is going to be the first one to set a proper flying lap then. Sargent didn't fancy it, but so early doors in Q1 then, it's Leclerc from Norris by 18,000 of a second. Perez makes it 3 drivers within half a tenth of a second at the front. Piastri is currently 4th, then Bottas, Sainz, Zhou, Gasly as the flying laps start to come in with 11 minutes to go. Here comes Lewis Hamilton then up to the final corner. Turn 20. Winding up for a flying lap. And Mercedes do look strong here. It'd be interesting to see how strong, because Mercedes coming to this race with a new floor. Oh, and a bit of oversteer at the top of the hill in turn 1 for Lewis. Now he's coming down the hill, sweeping into turn 2, 3, and it's flat. Turn 4, turn 5 over the apex, turn 6, and now he's got to ease off down a gear and cutting the corner into 7, 8. Oh, fantastic. Sector 1 at Circuit of the Americas is epic. As Verstappen goes quickest on a 1 minute 36.470, a tenth and a half quicker than Leclerc and Norris. So it's Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris, Perez, Piastri, top 5 at the moment. And Lewis is on the back straight, doing 315 kilometres an hour as he hits the brakes at the 50 metre, 70 metre marker board. Forza Motorsport, nah. Arcade games, not for me, mate. I play iRacing. Full-on simulation. Because I've got a full-on simulation setup. And Forza and Gran Turismo and all that are just like children's games, in my opinion. Proper racing games are iRacing, Assetto Corsa Competizione, R Factor 2, but I haven't played R Factor 2, but yeah, no, I'm only playing... I'm only on the proper stuff. And Hamilton across the line, but only P5, and Russell goes P3 then. Only a tenth and a half off the pace. First racing game reaction. Oh no. I'll do some streams doing sim racing on iRacing. Aye, that's serious, that, you know. I'm in the MX5 World... What do they call it? It's like the MX5... Mazda MX5 World Cup or something. Aye, that shit gets real, you know. Ain't no Forza Motorsport around here. That is legit. Yes, Aways, how we doing, bro? Welcome in. Yo, there's mega amounts of brake dust on the Aston Martin. Wow. I don't know if that was Alonso or Stroll, but one of those Aston Martins. Lance Stroll's brakes. Flying Pig United. Yeah. I've seen it. I know. Yeah, I know it. I don't watch him, but I have seen one of his streams before. Yeah. Hulkenberg goes quickest. Go on, Nico Hulkenberg. Haas are looking quick. Oh, where's me Haas? And where's me Haas cap? We're sat here with a Mercedes cap on when Hulkenberg just gone quickest. Oh my God. Right. F1 is back. Hulkenberg takes the lead. He asked me to make his Forza. Oh my God. You go for it, Gav. Whatever floats your boat. Oh no, Forza. I mean, Forza Motorsport is probably good fun, isn't it? But it's not a proper thing. It's not the kind of game I touch. It's like the F1 games. I don't touch them now. It's just kids' games, isn't it? Gasly P1. Hey, this is anybody's. This is anybody's. Pierre Gasly. Let's go. Well, he might be safe with that. Alonso goes P13. Top 3. Gasly, Hulkenberg, Verstappen. I didn't think I'd be saying that. Piastri goes P9. I could do something for you, something like that. Yeah, man. iRacing. Mate, I was on iRacing today. And it's like skill match based. So as you get better, it pairs you with people that are equally as good. So you can't just dominate. It's absolutely solid. And it's as close to real life as you're going to get without doing it for real and risking your life. Having the equipment I've got and playing iRacing is as close as you get to real life motorsport. I tell you now for a fact. It is as close as you can get. The brake vibrates if you understeer. Like you feel every... Oh, mate, I can't even... It's unbelievable. And that is seriously competitive. And as soon as you get a good result, like say you finish top 3, your rating gets better, and so then you with better people, and so you never can get a win. Like a P8 is like a good result. Like if you're 8th place with no incidents, solid race, mate. Forget about winning. Anyway, I shouldn't be sat here talking about iRacing when quali's on. Sainz is purple first 2 sectors. So Sainz looking quick, but it's still Gasly Hulkenberg top 2. Yes, Ben Allison, welcome to the stream, bro. Do you rage? I know, that's what people want in it, yeah. That's why these streams aren't popular, because I don't rage. That's why this channel will never get big, because I'm not bouncing off the ceilings raging, because that's what people want to see in it. And that's it. That's the bottom line. Is what gets people watching. Why do 1 million people watch Goldbridge? Because when United concede, goes no, 1 million views. You know what I mean? What am I gonna do? Oh, Hamilton's crashed. No, 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 no. It ain't gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? I love it. I'm only apart from like political things. I'm happy, but that doesn't get views, does it? Me going, what a race, incredible drive. 2 views. Do you know what I mean? If I was here smashing up the TV, punching holes in the wall because my favourite driver has been spun off, 1,000,000 subs. But it ain't. It's not football. It's not football. Do you know what I mean? I'm not fully invested in one driver. If I was fully 1,000,000,000% emotionally invested in one driver and the other 19 drivers were the enemy, do you know what I mean? But I just love the sport as a whole. I just want to see it as close as possible. Yes, Chris. How's me day been? Good, mate. United watch along for the views. I'm not asked about United though, so that wouldn't work either. Because if United, like when I do watch alongs with Denver, with United, and like United concede, I'm there like, I'm not even pissed off. I'm just like, oh, this is a good match. It's not the one, is it? I'm not that arse, so that doesn't work either. I don't really rage. It's not my kind of vibe, is it? I'm just happy-go-lucky. But yeah, Ben. Yeah, just outside of Manchester. Yeah. Sim racing. I tell you what, yeah. On a sim racing front, Gav. If someone smashes me out of the race, yeah. I do get fucking, yeah, mate. I have got pissed off. Oh, yeah. When you're on lap 36 out of 38 and someone smashes into you and DNFs you. Mate, yeah. Anyway, it's Ferrari 1-2 now. You're too old now to rage at sports. I mean, Goldbridge is in his 40s, isn't he? But nah, you're never too old to rage, but I'm just not that bothered about football to rage about it. To rage about football, you've got to be emotionally invested. I'm not. I couldn't give a damn, really. If United got relegated, I'd find it entertaining because it'd be like, oh shit, this is pandemonium. So that's not, I'm not really arsed, am I? I just want drama. I've never raged about football. Maybe if England get knocked out of a tournament or something. I'm more bothered about England than I am United. Anyway, what am I talking about football for? Get me onto football. Verstappen goes quickest by half a second with a minute to go in Q1. Nothing better than coming in with tea on the table and F1 qualifying is on. Dream come true. How many laps on the Grand Prix? I don't know, you know. But we have got less than a minute to go in Q1, and Hamilton's gone purple middle sector. The bottom 5 at the moment then is Albon, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Zhou, and Sargent, who hasn't even set a lap time, but Hamilton's purple middle sector. You get a chance, Rob, watch the Forza reaction. Yeah, I'll watch it. Here comes Lewis to the line, then bang! P1 with 15 seconds to go. Lewis might be in the fight for pole here. I hope he is. Albon goes P8 in the Williams. Go on then. Alexander Albon. Russell goes P7 in the other Mercedes. So Mercedes are safely through, but both AlphaTauris might be knocked out. Where's Logan Sargent going to be? P14. Well, that's risky. That's you're not going to be safe there. With everyone else crossing the line. Norris goes P2 at the death, and it's definitely through then. Oh, I'll tell you what, that's a good lap from Lando Norris, you know. And McLaren's stronger than I'm giving him credit for here. I'm coming onto this stream going, McLaren are not in the game. Zhou Guan Yu goes P6, okay. Zhou Guan Yu is low-key good in quali, isn't he? Zhou Guan Yu's good in qualifying, mate. He races other people. That's all I do on the sim, Gav. Yeah, man. That's the fun, innit? You'll be racing the computer, bro. That's what it's all about. Do you know Frank Willemese? No, bro. Alonso not in the game. No, mate. Alonso's out of the game, bro. Tsunoda's gone 5th in the AlphaTauri. Ricciardo's 14th. Oh, Albon's going to be knocked out here. Here comes Ocon and Alonso. So Ocon goes P12 and knocks out Nico Hülkenberg. And here comes Fernando Alonso. Strolls out. Alonso's out. Both Aston Martins knocked out in Q1 in Texas. Ricciardo's through. Both AlphaTauri's through there. Daniel Ricciardo through in P15. But both Aston Martins out in 17th and 19th. Both Williams out in 18th and 20th. And Nico Hülkenberg as well, who was quickest earlier on in the session but didn't improve from there. As everyone else improved, he eventually ended up in P16. So Hamilton, Norris, Verstappen looking quick, but knocked out in Q1. Hülkenberg, Alonso, who's made Q3 in every single race up to this point, and we're 19 races in. So massive disappointment for Fernando Alonso. Alexander Albon down there, P18 as well. Lance Stroll, P19. And Logan Sargent, homeboy, home race, P20. Oh, Frank Williams. Oh, yeah, I thought you said Frank Williams or something. Oh, Frank Williams, yeah, man. Absolute legend of the sport. Is he from your hometown? Is he Frank Williams? They don't even own the team anymore, you know. His daughter sold it to the Rilton Capital or something. Bit of a rip, that, isn't it? But listen, if it's either sell the team to an American consort, whatever it is, if it's either that or kaput, then you're going to sell it, but it's a bit of a rip. Alonso and Albon out in Q1. I know, gutted about that. He's my guy, Alexander Albon, as well. He's my guy, you know. He's my fave, you know what I mean? Albon Piastri. You know, I'm not like a hardcore fan of one individual driver, but I'm more neutral these days. When I was growing up, when I was like 15, 17, 18 years old, I was big time Hamilton fan. It was everything Hamilton. I didn't even care about the other drivers. And then as I've got older, I've sort of matured and mellowed and gone, this sport isn't about one. And I just sort of see it from a much more neutral point of view. I just don't want to see someone winning 17 out of 19 races or whatever it is. I just want it to be close. Next year better be a better season. I'm praying that next season is 100 times better than this season, because this is just... 2024 better be good, man. Put it this way, if Verstappen comes out next season and wins like the first 5 races, that will kill me off, bro. That would just kill me off. It'll kill me off in terms of doing live streams anyway. I still watch it, but I can't. I can't. Aston Martin have fallen bad throughout the season, mate. Honestly. They started off the season almost on a par with Red Bull. Like, Alonso started off this season as Verstappen's greatest competitor. Like, his nearest competition was Fernando Alonso, bro. And now we get to the end of the season and he's being knocked out in Q1. They've just not developed the car as good as other teams have. McLaren have come on leaps and bounds, They've basically, in a nutshell, Aston Martin have lost the development race. Of all the 10 teams on the grid, you could say Aston Martin have lost the development race. And this just highlights it. McLaren started awfully this season. I said, exactly. They switched around, Chris. Exactly. McLaren have, since the British Grand Prix in, when was that? Like July. They've had a couple of off weekends, but in general, McLaren, since the British Grand Prix, have been the second fastest team. Generally speaking, like, obviously, you had Sainz winning Singapore and stuff like that, but McLaren, I think McLaren's upgrade that they bought to the British Grand Prix, I'm not going to overstate this year. The upgrade that McLaren bought to the British Grand Prix is probably the single best upgrade to a car I've ever seen in 20 years of watching this sport. They went in a single race from the 6th, 7th fastest team to the 2nd fastest team in one upgrade. I have never seen that before. I swear down, I have never seen that before. In 2009, McLaren had a good rate of improvement. This is even better. Do you think where McLaren were in Bahrain, round 1? I think Norris had to do about 6 pit stops. He was dead last by, like, it was a shocker. And now they're fighting for pole, fighting for victories. Unbelievable. Alonso's start, he lost it because he got the lead. No, he didn't get a time penalty. He just got beat. I knew that Alonso wasn't going to win that race, but I just loved the fact that he led into turn 1, bro. I loved it. That was every Christmas at once. Fernando Alonso leading into turn 1 at Saudi Arabia was the moment of the season. Because at that point there, if you pause time there, anything's possible. Like, at that moment there when Alonso leads into turn 1 in Saudi Arabia, you could think, is he in the championship fight here? Do you know what I mean? At that one moment there, you could go, bloody hell, like, Fernando Alonso's might win. Like, obviously it didn't turn out that way, but for a moment you could dream. That's what it is. For a moment you could dream. that Fernando Alonso was in a championship battle. Just for a moment, just for 2 or 3 laps way back in April. You could dream. And since then, Verstappen's won 16 races and ended everyone's dreams. But it was epic at the time. Right, we're into Q2. We are into Q2. Who is going to get through to the pole position shootout? Leclerc's purple mid. I say, do you know what? Something I've noticed this weekend. The track is looking bumpy. You know, the track is looking. It's looking a bit dodgy, to be honest. It's looking really bumpy. I don't understand it. It's a Ferrari 1-2 early on in Q2. So, just as a quick reminder, knocked out in Q1 was Hulkenberg, Alonso, Albon, Stroll, Sargent. So, we are into the top 15, fighting out to get through to Q3 and get into the pole position shootout. 10 minutes to go in Q2. If you're not aware as well, this is a sprint race weekend, so I will be live for the sprint shootout, which is basically sprint race qualifying, tomorrow at about 6:15 UK time, and then the sprint race is tomorrow night, like 11 p.m. So I'll be live like 10:30 tomorrow night for the sprint race, and then the Grand Prix itself, the big event, is 8 p.m. Sunday night. I'll be live 7:30, bit of a waffle, bit of a build-up, then we go. So yeah, 4 streams this weekend, first of 4 streams, so you'll be absolutely sick of me come Sunday night. Pierre Gasly, P3. Gasly's put in a couple of rocket laps here. Daniel Ricciardo. Hey, tell you what, if Ricciardo gets through to Q3, big props. Big props if Ricciardo gets through to Q3, but I don't see it happening. Can you imagine if Ricciardo gets through to Q3 and Perez gets knocked out? Oh, switch him round, bro. The thing is, I don't think they've got the nerve. This is a thing. I don't think they've got the nerve to put Perez in an AlphaTauri. I don't see that as a scenario. I think if they let Perez go, he'll either retire or he'll do something left field, like join Williams or go to IndyCar or something. I don't see Red Bull demoting Perez to AlphaTauri. I don't see that as a possible scenario, no matter what happens. Even if Perez DNFs the last 5, I can't see him driving for AlphaTauri. I reckon it'll just be like this horrible, messy breakup where he's not even in the sport anymore. Something horrible like that. Yeah, Williams, yeah. And bang Ricciardo in the Red Bull. I don't know if they'll take that kind of risk, to be honest. I think as long as Perez secures P2 in the championship... Listen, Perez doesn't have to do a lot now to secure that Red Bull seat. He doesn't have to do a lot. The barrier to entry is low at this point. He doesn't have to win any of the last 5 races. He just has to not be an embarrassment. And you've got it secured. Lockdown, done. Sign on the dotted line, you're in. It's only in jeopardy if it's like a face palm, like, oh my god, like just horrible. If it's horrible for the next 5 races, stick Danny Rick. But I think Perez will be at Red Bull next year. You know what I mean? Perez will be at Red Bull next year. It's 2025 is the big one. 25 is the big one. For next season, it's all done and dusted. There's not been any silly season. Everyone's signed up for the long term. He does need P2 in the drivers, definitely. Should be under pressure. He should be. But then, are Red Bull really going to risk chucking Danny Rick in next season? I think there's a good chance that Ricciardo, if Ricciardo's good next season at AlphaTauri and beating Tsunoda on a regular basis, and I think AlphaTauri will be a lot stronger next season. They won't even be called AlphaTauri. I don't know what they'll be called, like Hugo Bull Racing or whatever they're going to be called. But if Daniel Ricciardo is good next season and Perez has a season like this again, then for 2025, Ricciardo be in. But for next year, it would have to be really bad for Perez. It would have to be at a point where the Red Bull management, Helmut Marko and Christian Horner go, it'd have to reach a point where they go, we need to get Perez out of here for his mental. They'd have to go down like a mental health route of like, for his mental well-being, it's not good that he's under this kind of stress. Like, they would have to go down that route. It would have to be really bad. So basically, Perez is there next year. Unfortunately. Sports passing. I know, it's an interesting one, that. It's an interesting one, that. Alpine getting investors left, right and centre. Trent Alexander-Arnold bought into Alpine. Mahomes, is it, from NFL? I don't know him. They've already got the guy who owns Wrexham, the superhero guy. And there's a few others as well. And it's like the golfer, Rory McIlroy as well. What? I don't know what kind of sales pitch that Alpine have put out to all the A-list celebrities, but they've put some hell of a sales pitch out. But then, is this Alpine trying to get out of it though? You've got to think of that as well. Is this Alpine trying to back out and go, you can have it? Is it that? You can't rule that out, you see. You can't rule out the scenario that it's actually Alpine giving the reins to someone else and going, do you know what? We thought we'd be fighting for P3, P2 in constructors. We've dropped off massively. We don't really fancy it. Maybe Renault, who Alpine is Renault, maybe Renault management are going, do you know what? If you can start palming this team off and you can retract yourself away, do it. Because it ain't working out. I don't know. I don't understand it. But that's my suspicion. Spike the drinks. I don't know. I mean, can you imagine the sales pitch? Last year we did really well. This year, not so good. But invest, because F1's massive and it's got a Netflix series which is massively edited and doesn't represent this sport in any way. So get in. I don't know what kind of sales pitch Alpine pulled, but minutes going Q2 anyway. I've not even been commentating. I've not even been. Well, now we get to the sharp end, isn't it? Oh, Sainz has gone P2. So it's a Ferrari 1-2. A minute to go. They should be, yeah. They've been spanked this season, Alpine. They've dropped off, like... It's not been a good season for Alpine, has it? They've been anonymous. They've been anonymous, and that's the worst thing to be. Right, these are the final laps of Q2. Then this decides who gets through to the final part of quali. The bottom five at the moment is Bottas, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Zhou. And Norris goes P4 in the McLaren. No, and Hamilton set purple sector 1. Here comes Zhou Guanyu, then round the final corner. He's P15 and last at the moment. Goes P9. Probably not going to be enough, but a good effort from Zhou Guanyu. He's good in qualifying, is Zhou Guanyu, man. He's underrated. Tsunoda goes P9 then. He's good enough at the moment, but Bottas improves, but only P13. So Zhou out-qualifies Bottas again. I think Bottas is at the end of his career, isn't he? Let's face facts. I think Bottas is spent. Pierre Gasly goes P5. Oh, Lewis has 2 tries to turn it into the final corner and goes P3. So it's Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, 2.5 tenths off. Leclerc has out-qualified Verstappen by 4,000%. Well, not out-qualified, but beating him in Q2 anyway. As Russell goes P9. I tell you what, Russell is on the bubble there. Perez, P10. I tell you what, can Ocon knock Perez out here? Oh no, Ocon's already through. Ocon goes 5th. No way is Perez 10th. Perez has got away with one there. Perez has absolutely got away with one. Tsunoda and Zhou were both within 19 1,000ths of a second of Perez. Oh, Perez, by the skin of his teeth, has got through to Q3. Damn, that was close. So knocked out in Q2, Tsunoda P11, Zhou Guanyu P12, Bottas P13, Kevin Magnussen P14, and Daniel Ricciardo P15. So through to the pole position shootout then is Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Sainz, Ocon, Norris, Gasly, Piastri, Russell, and Perez by the skin of his teeth. So we've got both Ferraris, both Red Bulls, both McLarens, both Mercedes, and then a Alpine and a both Alpines. Yeah, so it's both McLarens, both Alpines, both Mercedes, both Ferrari, both Red Bulls in the top 10. How 8 seconds second Red Bull so bad? 8 seconds? No. He's 7 tenths off. Perez is 7 tenths off the pace in P10. Look at the gap between Leclerc and Verstappen. 4 1,000ths of a second. Yeah, I think Lewis is really in the fight for it here. A couple hours behind. I've only been live for 55 minutes. But I get what you're saying. Are you live now, always? Are you live, Brev? Because I'm live. He is specialist Hungary here, Canada, Silverstone. They're probably Hamilton's best records as far as results goes. Yeah, Hungary, US, Canada, Britain. I think that's where he's got his most wins and stuff. I think Hamilton's only been off the podium here once in 11 years, so it is a good track for him. I think he's won in Hungary about 8 or 9 times. He's won the British Grand Prix 8 times, I think. He's won in Canada a good chunk of times as well. Yeah, there he's best. So yeah, Lewis is in the fight here. Aston Martin, both in the bottom 5 is brutal. I wouldn't be surprised, if Lance Stroll just throws in the towel and just says, listen, this ain't for me. I don't know about Lance Stroll. I wouldn't be surprised if he just pieces out and just goes, I don't need this stress. I don't know, man. I don't see Lance Stroll, massively motivated. I feel like he's sort of take it or leave it. As though he's sort of well, does he care that much? I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised if he just jacks it in. You know what I mean? Alonso P17 on the grid. That's crazy, He's qualified in the top 10 in every single race. 17 out of 17 so far. Yeah. And in qualifying session number 18. Anthony, welcome to stream, bro. What happened to Alonso? Genuine lack of pace. It's just, I don't know. I think they've gone the wrong, because there's only one practice session because it's a sprint race weekend. I think they've gone the wrong way on the setup, and now they're stuck with it, and it's game over. It's just bad. The pace is just not there at all for Aston Martin. This is just the worst they've been. It's massively disappointing, obviously, for... wow. So, yeah, Alonso, Aston Martin, just with... would it keep this sprint and qualifying format? No. I think the sprint race format will only grow. I think there'll only be more and more and more of it. But I think my issue with it is that for casual fans, it's just too complicated. For hardcore fan base, we know what's going on. But the people that watch it on a casual, that maybe watch it every now and then, and don't really follow it, and just maybe watch the start of a race and an end of a race. A sprint race weekend to a casual fan, you might as well be speaking double Dutch. Like, it makes no sense. You're overcomplicating. What's nice and simple is practice on a Friday, qualifying on a Saturday, a race on a Sunday. That is nice and simple. It's been that way for 70 years. I don't see any reason to but then the sport, the commercial side of the sport wants more races, more qualifying sessions, more drama, more action, more television time, more fans wanting more of this and more and more and more and more and more. But meanwhile, there'll be casual fans out there who are just going, what? You know, you try explaining to someone who watches it now and then that, oh, right, it's Friday night qualifying for the race on Sunday, and then what there's going to be on a Saturday is there's going to be a sprint shootout, and then there's going to be a sprint race, and then there's going to be like someone like my dad, for example, who doesn't really follow it. He might watch every now and then. He is absolutely alienated with a format like this. He'll just be like, leave it out, bro. When's the race? It's not the one. Can you imagine if they changed football and they said, right, instead of a 90-minute match, what we're going to do is the day before we'll do a 15-minute match, and then leading up to the game, 2 hours before the match kicks off, we'll do a little kickabout for 20 minutes, and then just play the game, bro. Just play the 90-minute match. Why fuck about with it? So no, I don't like the sprint race. I think it's too complicated for people that don't really follow it. I think it's adding unnecessary complication for the sake of commercial more and more and more and more and more. You know what I mean? The commercial side of it has won over the sporting side of it. It's just awful, isn't it, Anthony? It's just sprint race. And that's not to say, yeah, there has been good sprint races. The one in Qatar, that was a good sprint race. And there was one, I think, in Austria that was a really good sprint race where you go, do you know what? I don't love this format, but that was a bloody good sprint race. There has been good sprint races, but I feel like it's overcomplicating something that doesn't need to be complicated. Practice on a Friday, qualify on a Saturday, race on a Sunday. That's how it's been for 75 years. Keep it as it is, but I only see sprint growing. I don't know how many sprint races is going to be next season, but I'd be surprised if there's not more. So it is what it is. Anyway, we're into Q3. First laps, banker laps in Q3 are about to get set. Winning sprint is like quickest in a practice session. It's only a little bit better than that, isn't it? Winning a sprint. See, that's the thing. Piastri won the sprint, but does it count? Does it not? Like, I'm commentating on Piastri winning the sprint the other week, and I'm going, Piastri wins a race, but it's not really a win. But it's a win, but not really. It's a win, but it's not really a win. Like, nah, man. It's not for me, but I get why they're doing it, because it's more race, more action, more... You know, what are you going to do? Have a race or another practice session? Everyone's going to vote race. But then, are you going to watch that race? Nah. But listen, you got to embrace it. We've got to embrace it because we can't stop it. Now they've opened that jar of there's going to be sprint races. That's it. You've opened you know what I mean? The genie's out of the bottle. You can't put it back in. It's over. We're going to have sprint races as a growing theme. Here we go then. First banker laps of Q3. And it's Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, Gasly's P4 provisionally. Here comes Perez, only P5. Gasly's quicker than Perez. Pierre Gasly's quick here today. Here comes Lewis Hamilton, P2. It's a three-way fight for pole, this. Leclerc, Hamilton and Verstappen have all got a shot. Wow. This is a three-way fight for pole position. Leclerc and Hamilton are in the fight with Max Verstappen for pole position here tonight. Without a doubt. Sainz is 3.5 tenths off. Gasly is in dreamland in P5. Perez is 7 tenths off his teammate. Well off the pace. The McLarens don't really look like they're in a fight at the sharp end. Ocon's a second off. Russell hasn't set a lap time. So I think we're in for it. It's a 3-horse fight. It's a 3-horse race for pole position here. And as Verstappen made a mistake then into the final corner, a little bit of oversteer. Verstappen not happy about Perez. But we've got 5 minutes to go, so we're in the lull, and then there'll be one more shot for pole position in Texas. Sprint is irrelevant, really. Apart from you get bonus points. This means something sprint doesn't. Yeah. It's a weird one, the sprint format. I feel like, one, you're overcomplicating it. Two, if you win a sprint, it's not really a win. It doesn't get recorded in the history books as a F1 win. It's forgotten about immediately. Like, Piastri won the sprint, but it doesn't even mean 1% of what a Grand Prix victory is. I don't know. Maybe if they did reverse championship order sprint race, that would improve it. I would like to see a reverse championship order sprint race. So, in other words, Sargent's on pole, and then it's, you know what I mean? It's a front row of Sargent and, I don't know, what do you mean? Front row of like Sargent and Magnussen. Something like that. With you know, Daniel Ricciardo and Zhou Guanyu second row. And put Verstappen, Hamilton and Perez at the back. Ferrari's about 17th and 18th. McLaren's 50. You know what I mean? And let them do it, and then say, right, let's have a 15-lap race. Let's have a look. And you got Logan Sargent battling Kevin Magnussen for the win. You know what I mean? Then I reckon I'd back it. Verstappen would win. No, you don't make the race that long. Keep the race short enough where that doesn't happen. No, just make it 15 laps. And plus, Verstappen would be stuck behind quick cars as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that would improve it. Reverse championship order. Sprint. Let's go. 3 to 5 laps. Yeah. 3 laps. It's carnage. No. I wouldn't have a sprint race. I wouldn't have a sprint anyway. If it was up to me. If it was up to me, I'd have them all qualifying exactly the same car. Oh, yeah. And then race in the cars they've got now. So the guy who sets the fastest lap on Saturday is on pole by merit, regardless of what he's driving. Dead. Let's have a look. That would revolutionise the thing. All in the same car just for qualifying. Then back in the car that they're in now for the race. So who the quickest driver is on Saturday gets the glory they deserve. And the gap between pole and 20th would be about 3/10 as well. Here we go then. This is a battle for pole position. Well, I dream about something that's never going to happen. This is Leclerc's effort then. He's on provisional pole. Is he going to improve? Out of the final corner comes Charles Leclerc and does improve. A 1:34.723 is the benchmark for the other 9 drivers to beat. Can Charles Leclerc do it? Norris crosses the line. It's a 1:34.8. Only a 10th off for Lando Norris. Where's he going to end up? Here comes Max Verstappen then. Round the final couple of corners. Oh, I think that's track limits. That's track limits for Max Verstappen. I don't think Max Verstappen's lap's going to count, you know. Verstappen does go quickest by 5 1,000ths, but I don't think that's going to count. Who is going to get pole position here? Oh, if Verstappen's lap gets deleted, it's pure drama. Piastri only P7 in the McLaren. Norris has set a hell of a lap time, you know. No joke. Here comes Esteban Ocon then, round the second to last corner, into turn 20, and the final corner. Go on, Esteban Ocon. P6. Oh, Verstappen's been deleted. Verstappen's been deleted, and here comes Lewis Hamilton. Oh, Verstappen's going to be P5 for the Grand Prix. At best. At best. Oh, this is big drama. Oh, we could be on for a hell of a US Grand Prix on Sunday night. I'm telling you now, Verstappen P5. Perez only P8. Red Bull are going to line up 5th and 8th. Here comes Lewis. Come on, please. Go on, Lewis. Go on, Lewis. Only P3. Leclerc secured pole. Leclerc has secured pole. Where's George Russell going to slot in? It's Leclerc, Norris, front row. Here comes Russell, P5. So Verstappen's jumped to 6th. It's Leclerc, Norris, front row. Hamilton, Sainz, Russell, Verstappen, Gasly, Ocon, Perez, Piastri. It's the top 10. Charles Leclerc on pole for the US Grand Prix. And Verstappen down in 6th. Let's go. 6th and 9th for Red Bull. We've got a race on our hands on Sunday. Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, top 3. Let's go. Track limits violation for Max Verstappen. And it's Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris front row. With Lewis on the clean side of the grid as well in P3. Oh, it's going to be a beauty. She's going to be a beauty. That is the grid for the United States Grand Prix, which will be lights out 8 p.m. on Sunday. But I'll be live tomorrow for the sprint day, if you like. I'll be live for the sprint At 6:15 tomorrow evening, or tomorrow afternoon, whatever you want. I'll be live for the sprint shootout, 6:15, which is basically qualifying for the sprint race. And then I'll be live for the sprint race itself at 10:30 on a Saturday night. That starts at 11. So join me tomorrow for 2 streams. Sprint day tomorrow. But that is your grid for the US Grand Prix on Sunday night. I'll be live at 7:30 Sunday night for the race starting at 8 p.m. 4 streams this weekend. So we're doing our bit. Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, Sainz, Russell, Verstappen, Gasly, Ocon, Perez, Piastri, top 10 for the US Grand Prix. That is all from me. Yeah, see you tomorrow, Anto. In a bit, Chris. See you in a bit, Anto. It's Lando time. Honestly, that is an exciting. Norris' car is good. Well, yeah, but Norris has pulled a hell of a lap out of the bag because Piastri's only P10, you know. So Norris has gone 6-7 tenths quicker than Piastri, which is a big lap. You know, Norris has pulled off a hell of a lap there, you know. But Charles Leclerc, another pole position. He is good in qualifying, Leclerc, you know. He's wrapped up a few pole positions, but not very many victories. Maybe that'll change on Sunday. Verstappen from only P6. But yeah, thank you for joining me for qualifying. Friday night qualifying for the United States Grand Prix. Like I say, I'll be live for the sprint shootout tomorrow, 6:15, and the sprint race itself at 10:30 tomorrow night. And of course, the race on Sunday, live for every single qualifying and every single race from the Formula One World Championship. If you are new and if you are a Formula One fan, please do subscribe. I'm trying to get to 500 by the end of the year. But yeah, that's about it. Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, top 3 for the United States Grand Prix. That is certainly interesting. Certainly interesting. Please do drop me a like as well on your way out, guys. Really do appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow afternoon, 6:15 for the shootout. See you in a bit, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I know it's Friday night. Probably most people are out or doing something else, but I appreciate every single one of you for joining. I'll see you tomorrow night. In a bit.